everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing another book review, specifically from the Book of the Month Club pick, and this is actually one of the books that Emily lent to me a while ago. So I'll be reviewing The Power by Naomi Alderman, and it was actually from the pick from October. So yeah, let's get started. So as always, I will be starting off with the non-spoiler section, specifically the summary of the story. So basically, The Power starts off about 10 years ago, and it slowly leads up to the present day. And that's when the electricity power first started appearing in females, specifically young girls. And the book kind of follows along with the story of 4 specific individuals. So the first character really is Roxy, who is this tough London girl who kind of has a rough background. And she was actually the first to demonstrate this electricity power under stress. The character after that is Tunde. He is a rich boy from Nigeria who somehow gets involved in this whole situation because he managed to be the first person to film this whole incident and somehow became a journalist throughout this book. Then there's Ali, who is a foster kid, American kid, and she's living with her foster parents who are deeply religious yet somehow have this really weird or dark secret going on. And because of this whole power, electricity power in females right now, she is under the impression that God is telling everyone that the old way is over and that there is now a new order. Finally, there is the last character named Margot, and she is this ambitious American politician who, as the book progresses, learns to deal with the power and what it means for her political career. So these are the 4 main characters that majority of the book follows, and in the beginning when the first power starts appearing and videos of it starts appearing, mostly from Tunde or Tuned, and people at first thought it was a prank until they quickly realized that it's all legit and that these powers are a very real thing. And as the book progresses, adults are trying to figure out what is causing this new power. Is it some sort of new disease? Is it a genetic mutation, deformity, etc.? And then within a few weeks they realize that that is not the case and is something completely different. And as the story continues, boys and girls are soon separated because they realize that it's the girls who have this power and the boys don't have this power, and it becomes obvious to everyone that the two should be separated for the safety of everyone. They also realize that not only do girls have it, but they can also awaken it in the older females. So not only did this power start from the young girls, but this power soon became prevalent in basically all females in the world. And there's only about, what do they say, like 5 people out of 1,000 who don't have this power, and there are a very few number of males who do, but it's extremely rare. And majority of the people, the females specifically, are born with this power. And every girl has this varying degrees of power. Some are extremely strong, like more stronger than others. Some have healing capabilities. Some have the ability to detect how strong other people are. So it all depends on everyone, and everyone has different varying degrees of power, and everyone's reaction to this is varied. Some are going absolutely crazy over it, some are going power hungry, specifically the females who realize that, hey, now we have this power to hurt the male who's been hurting them all their lives, and some are trying to just figure out a way to earn money, as always. So everyone's dealing it in their own way, and as governments fall down, kingdoms start rising with women in power. And as the power of the gender shifts, men and boys are starting to learn to be silent, whereas the women are starting to be vocal and speak out. And basically everyone in this book is just trying to figure out how to go about in this new world where the genders are so completely reversed, and what are the roles now for men and female. So that's essentially what this book is about. If this sounds interesting, then definitely go check it out. But before I go on to my spoiler section, my 2 cents that this is a very, very complex story where you really have to prepare yourself to really absorb a lot of information. In the beginning, there were a lot of things thrown into you, so you really have to read carefully, and I found myself really having to read extra slowly because I was afraid of missing some vital information, and so this book took me a lot longer than I thought just to simply finish it. What was most interesting to me actually was how this world progressed as the shift in power occurred. So that is it for my non-spoiler section. If you have not read this book yet, definitely go check it out, and if this sounds interesting, definitely go check it out. Otherwise, continue with me to my spoiler section. So to start off with, this book is very interesting, and especially in the beginning, but a lot of information was thrown out to you, so I really had to read it really carefully because I was afraid of missing something vital. But at the same time though, like towards the middle it started to lag a little bit, and I kind of lost focus in reading it until it started to pick up again at the end of the book. So I am at odds as to how I feel about this book, because on one hand I'm thinking, okay, like I stated earlier, this book starts off 10 years in the past, and as the book progresses it slowly counts down year by year until it reaches the ending, which is the present day, and it's only a few pages left. But the thing is, I felt to me that this whole story was more of like a backstory until you actually got to what was actually going on. And so I felt like it was really slow because of that, but at the same time, without all of the information from the front, like I would have been really confused at the end. So I'm kind of at odds with this book because it's so slow, but then without that slow pace of this book, then like the ending wouldn't have made sense. So I don't know, this book is like, I'm seriously at odds with this, and even now when I'm reviewing it, I'm still at odds with it. So please let me know in the comments below if you are confused with this book as I am, because I really don't know if I liked it or not. And then talking about the characters, honestly, I didn't really relate to any of them, and I didn't particularly like any of them either. I mean, Allie, for example, she was this foster kid who basically became Mother Eve, and honestly, that was a very strange character. She was a very strange character for me. I just didn't really understand where this voice in her head came from. Like, what was the purpose of this voice? Is the voice telling her, do that, do this, and basically giving her all these premonitions, but I don't know where this voice comes from, and even now, I don't know where this voice comes from. Is it all like mentally inside her, or is it some divine thing going on? And then at the end, actually, this voice moved on to someone else, one of the other characters. So I'm still really confused with this voice, to be honest. I don't know what the purpose of that was, other than to make Allie, aka Mother Eve, become kind of crazy at the end. And then for Margot, I can't really understand her either. I mean, I understand her political ambition, and I get that, and I also understand that she loves her daughter Jocelyn very much, but she just didn't seem like someone I can relate to. Sometimes I felt like her political career was way more important than her daughter, and I felt that it really made her feel at odds with herself, because a lot of times she was debating, should I do this for my career move, or should I do this to protect my daughter? And she was always on the fence between the two. So because I'm the reader, she just seemed like a person who she just seemed as of a character as if she didn't really understand what she was doing. So I, at the end, became very confused with her as well. Then the other character, Tunde, whatever his name is, the rich Nigerian boy, I actually kind of liked, because I liked his ambition and his guts in the beginning and his fearlessness really, to go out into these parts of the world where females were having intense powers, and he was this male in this area where he has no power, and basically just trying to document and record all this information as it goes on. And you can really tell from the beginning how much fearlessness he had, to at the end, where I remember there was a statement in there where he said, "Today I actually felt fear for the first time," where he was just simply walking and he was afraid because of his gender. And that statement really got to me, actually, because that is a statement that I know a lot of girls in this world face every single day. So when he wrote that, or when he said that, I was like, okay, now you understand. So I actually really liked him as a character. So if I did have to pick a favorite character, I would probably pick Roxy, just because I liked her tough attitude. And I feel like her story was by far the most easiest to understand and the most straightforward. I mean, she comes from this kind of gangster background, actually, and there is a lot of deception and betrayal from her family, but it seems like a relatively straightforward storyline. And so for her, at least for me, I feel like I was able to follow her story much better. And I also like the fact that she was probably one of the most powerful girls at the time. I mean, I think the amount of power that she had for electricity was by far more than anyone around her. So I really liked her for that as well. So I mean, as for the four characters, I guess I would have to rephrase my earlier statement and say that Okay, I don't really like most of them, aka Ali and Margot. I don't understand those two at all. But Tunde or Tuned, I do like his guts, and I do appreciate the fact that he was able to understand some of the fears that females go into every single day today. So I like that part about him. And obviously Roxy, because I liked her strong attitude. The most striking thing that I would say for me about this book was how much things changed. At one point in the book, like towards like the second half of the book, where one of the kingdoms, came up, and they started to have all these rules for males, such as males can only be here if they are accompanied by a female, or they have some sort of guardian, like a female guardian, or other rules such as men are assigned to work orders and they have to actually be shackled to each other for the public safety. And I don't know, there were just a lot of rules that seem a little bit absurd to me, but honestly, there are rules that are extremely absurd for females in this world. So it was just really interesting to see the dynamic between the two and how much just a gender reversal can be. And not only were all these rules implemented, but a lot of the females got really, really aggressive, especially towards the end. There was this rape scene, this really intense rape scene, where not only did they rape all the men, but they actually dismembered them too, which I found for me, I found appalled. I feel like, okay, I understand, like men treated you like this in the past when they were the ones who had all the power, and now that you have the power, you turn around and go do the exact same thing back to them. Like, how is this world going to be for the better? Like, I just don't think that is something you should do. And obviously there were girls in the book that felt the same way as I do, but then there were a lot of girls who really wanted to get revenge for everything that happened to them when the men had the power. And while I respect that and I get that, I just don't think they went about it the right way. At the end of the day, it was definitely an eye-opener for me to just wake up and see the world differently, just because the world changed so much in this book from a simple gender reversal. I mean, before, men were taking all the credits, men had all the power, they were doing all the aggression and violence, and now, I don't want to say all, most of it, because I know females do it too, but with this whole gender reversal and the electricity power that were given to the females, it seemed that the world literally shifted 180, and it was definitely an eye-opener for me to see how this world was different. But I wish this book kind of discussed about how this world could be with females, in power in a positive way and not in such a negative way, especially at the end, where I felt like a lot of the incidences happening were all violence and all angry things that were occurring. But I just wish that the author made this world shift in a more positive way. Like, hey, if females took over the world, we'll make the world better, instead of doing the same thing that men were doing to us. But that's just my take on it. So overall, I do think that this book was very intense, and it definitely brought to light a lot of situations that are very critical right now. And since I am on the fence about this book, I wouldn't say if I can recommend it specifically, just because there are some pros and cons to this book for sure. But if you like books that are all about woman empowerment, or if you're looking for a companion book to the opposite, basically, aka Handmaid's Tale, which is a prime example, then yes, I would recommend this one just to see what happens if females took over the world. But I don't know, at the end of the day, I'm definitely on the fence. There were a lot of things that I like about this book, bringing all these critical situations to light, but at the same time, I wish the author, like I said before, had brought them to light in a more positive manner. So yeah, that's essentially all I have to say for this book. Please comment down below if you have anything to add. I believe this book is a great discussion book. So if you agree with anything I have to say, or if you completely disagree with something I have to say, do let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious to see everyone's take on it. And honestly, I feel like this book is kind of a sensitive topic, because some females I know will be really, really adamant about this book and will be arguing for this book to me, so I am prepared for that. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Don't forget that I do have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so you can follow me on there to get updates on all of my videos. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.